Do you consider yourself the reliable one? Are you the person your friends, your family, even your boss always turn to in a crisis? You're the fixer, the one who never complains, the person who's always fine. But what happens when you're not fine? What happens when you're the one who needs someone to step up? Do you feel a pang of guilt? Do you feel weak or even selfish just for daring to put your own needs first? If you nodded, even just in your head, that's likely a sign of one thing. You had to grow up too fast. Your childhood was stolen, not by one big event, but by the invisible pressure to become an adult while you were still a kid. And the core question is why? Why can't you escape that fixer role, even now that you are an adult with freedom and choices? Welcome to your channel name, where we decode the psychology behind our everyday lives. In this video, we're going to dig into 3 psychological layers that explain why you had to grow up so fast. We'll move from a super common reason to a concept called neglect, and finally, to a psychological term that might just be the key to understanding all of your relationships right now. And please, stick with me to the very end. This is my promise to you. Once we understand the why, I won't leave you there. I will show you how to heal it. I'll give you 3 practical applications for bringing that healing into your life, your work, and even how you run your business. Let's dive in. Layer 1, the good kid identity trap. This is the surface level reason. Think back. What were you praised for as a child? Was it for being mature, for being responsible, for never causing a scene? While other kids were screaming and messing around, you were quiet, you entertained yourself, you helped your parents. And you got the biggest reward, validation. Wow, she is such a good girl. He's like a little grown-up. Your young brain learned a powerful equation very quickly. Maturity equals good equals loved. And conversely, being childlike, which means being messy, noisy, and having needs, equals troublesome equals rejection. So, you put on that adult suit. It became your identity. The problem is, you've worn it so long that you've forgotten how to take it off. You grew up, you're 25, you're 35, and you're still trying to be the good kid in the eyes of your boss, your partner, everyone. You are terrified of letting them down. Because deep down, you still believe that if you stop being good, if you stop fixing everything, you won't be lovable anymore. That's the first layer. Now we dig deeper. Layer 2, emotional neglect. This is not abuse. It's not about what your parents did to you. It's about what they didn't do. They might have given you food, clothes, a safe house, but they failed to meet your emotional needs. Imagine this scenario. You are 10 years old, you get a bad grade, and you cry. Your parent says, "Stop crying, it's just a test, other kids." Or maybe you got angry. They say, "Don't you dare talk back, go to your room." What was the message you received? Your feelings are wrong. Your feelings are a burden. Your feelings don't matter. And when a child's emotions are consistently ignored, what do? They don't stop feeling. That's impossible. Instead, they learn to manage their feelings by themselves. They learn to self-soothe. They learn to parent themselves. You were forced to become an adult because there wasn't an adult available to hold a child's emotions. And this brings us to the core reason, the deepest and often the most damaging one. Layer 3, the core wound. It means to be made a parent. This is when a child is forced to take on adult roles and responsibilities. If emotional neglect is a lack of attention, parentification is being forced to give adult attention. It comes in 2 forms. Form 1, instrumental parentification. This is when you do adult tasks. You had to cook for the family when you were too young. You had to care for your siblings instead of your parents. You had to worry about bills and money when you should have only worried about homework. Form 2, And this is the more devastating one: emotional parentification. This is when you became your parents' therapist. Picture this: you are 12 years old, your parents are fighting, and your mom comes to your room crying and tells you how awful your dad is. Or your dad confides in you about his financial pressure. Do you see the role reversal here? A 12-year-old should be comforted by their parent, but instead, you are the one who has to comfort your parent. You had to shoulder complex adult feelings that your brain was not ready to process. You had to become the strong one in the family. And that strong one role, it has followed you right up to today. You become the go-to listener for all your friends' problems. You become the one who manages your partner's emotions. You do it because it's the only way you know how to be loved, by becoming everyone's parent. So, you see the whole picture now, don't you? Your inability to stop fixing things is not your fault. It's not your personality. It's a complex survival mechanism built on layer one's craving for good kid recognition, reinforced by layer two's emotional neglect that taught you your feelings are wrong, and finally, cemented by layer three's parentification that forced you to be the only adult in the room. You didn't get to have a childhood, so now, as an adult, you don't know any other way than to keep being the grown-up. The healing path, 3 practical applications. So, how do we heal? As I promised, here is the how-to. You can't go back in time, but you can do one incredibly powerful thing. Start reparenting yourself. Reparenting means that you, as the conscious adult of today, start giving your inner child what it never received. That is, permission and protection. And here are 3 practical ways to implement that starting today. Application 1, in life and relationships. Practice healthy selfishness. The child who grew up too fast does not know how to say no, because no equals disappointing others. Your homework: start practicing selfishness with small things. For example, you are exhausted. A friend calls and wants to talk it out for 2 hours. Instead of automatically bracing yourself to listen, protect the tired child inside you. Say this: I really want to hear about it, but I'm running on empty tonight. I'll be healthier and a better listener tomorrow. Can I call you then? See, you are not rejecting them. You are protecting your energy. That is a healthy boundary. Application 2, at work. Stop being the superhero. In the workplace, you're the one who does everything. You stay late, you take on extra projects, you fear that if you don't do it, everything will collapse. This is parentification in the office. Your application? Learn to let the ball drop. Pick one non-critical task and just don't do it, or delegate it to someone else and accept that they might not do it as well as you. You need to teach your brain that the world does not end when I stop holding it up. I am not a superhero, I'm just part of the team. Your value is not in doing more than everyone else. Application 3. In business and leadership, relinquish control. If you're a leader or business owner, this is the biggest trap. You micromanage everything. You check every email. You don't trust anyone. Why? Because the parentified child inside you believes, if I don't do it myself, it won't be right. Your application? Build systems, not dependence. Ask yourself, how can this department run without me? Invest in training your employees, writing out your processes, and then step back. Trust the adults you hired to act like adults. When you reparent yourself by trusting others, you free not only them, but you also free yourself to do bigger things. Conclusion. In summary, the healing journey is one of moving from I have to take care of everyone to I am allowed to take care of myself first. My question for you today is this:
Which reason do you identify with the most? Was it reason number 1, the good kid? Reason number 2, the emotional neglect? Or reason number 3, the parentification? Let me know your story in the comments below. I really do read them, and your story might help someone else feel less alone. If this video gave you an aha moment, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. We dive deep into real-world psychology like this every week. And if this video resonated with you, type a number 1. If you disagree, type a number 2. Thank you for listening. Remember, you have carried enough. It's time for you to rest. Would you like me to adapt another script for you, or perhaps help you draft the accompanying video description and tags?